This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
Hey, everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and Skol, and we have a show for you today. It is the NFC North Roundup show for Fans First Sports Network called Who Will Be King? Unfortunately, that was decided last Sunday. Well, at least for the division. Let's see how the Lions do the rest of the way out. And in the meantime, we've got the Bears, who are knee-deep into their quarterback search. And then we have the rest of the division that gets to line up and play on Super Wildcard Sunday. Or not Sunday, but weekend. One game will be early, and the other one will be late, if it's played in L.A. at all. All next on Who Will Be King? Let the battles begin. Hey, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody that's joining us today. I've already seen Chris and Sala in the comments. We want to welcome you today to this Wednesday where we host the NFC North Roundup show for Fans First Sports Network. Who will be king? Well, the crown was given. It was earned last week, last Sunday, and full all its glory, or disglory. June, tell us how the Detroit Lions won the crown.
Oh, man. I think it was it was a tale of two halves. The first half was pretty close. I think Minnesota missed out on some opportunities in the first half with some red zone opportunities. I think they were 0 for 4. I'm not sure if that was for the game or for the first half, but on a rewatch, I watched where there was a wide open Minnesota receiver on the other side Darnold chose to throw a different
Jordan Addison. Yes.
Yeah. So there was just some opportunities that the Vikings didn't take advantage of. And like I said, going 0 for 4 in the red zone. And the Lions defense actually played pretty good for most of the game. So especially in the second half, the score was 10-6 at half and wound up only giving up a field goal after that. That's a phenomenal effort, no matter how you slice it. And, that equipped with the mistakes that were made and the opportunities missed, the Lions got to win.
Yes, they did. And they should have. It was well-deserved. They played their hearts out. They defeated us something terrible. And we just couldn't get going. And we had Sam Darnold seemed to be pressing the whole game. He was sailing balls high. He seemed to be off on his decision-making, as illustrated by the one example you gave where Jordan Addison was wide open in the end zone and he turned around and tried to force it into Justin Jefferson.
On the right side. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Too well. Very much too well.
Yeah.
And but it is what it is. Now, part of that may have been because of your defensive coordinator and how he game planned the match. because he had Darnold constantly under pressure. Foster, how did he do that?
I mean, his Aaron Glenn's game plan, despite the fact that it's heavily scrutinized. I mean, he puts a lot of pressure on his cornerbacks to play man-to-man coverage, despite who it is. I mean, we had Amik Robertson, who I didn't realize until today had a bit of a hometown rivalry with Justin Jefferson, but he took it. He took that role and executed very, very well. And then even Terrion Arnold, he shut down Jordan Addison. He had one reception for 0 yards before Arnold ended up leaving the game. But our defensive line had a very good game. Levi Onwuzurike was our top scoring player PFF wise, actually outside of Jack Campbell. But defensive line wise, he did. And then Muhammad had a pretty strong game as well on the defensive line. So, I think the game plan was definitely to put to try to have Darnold under duress and force him to make some plays. And execution wise, that just didn't happen. They went 3 for 12 on third down, and no. I'm not sure what their actual third down rating was, but they were 0 for 4 in the red zone, and they didn't fare very well on third down either. And ultimately, that hurt them. 3 for 13 on third down and 0 for 3 on fourth down. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad on our part, and I kept expecting Sam to settle down because he started out jacked up before. And when he misses high. But he usually takes a deep breath and settles down. And once he got hit out of bounds, it was in the second quarter, I believe, I thought, well, here he goes. He's going to settle down because he threw the next 2 passes right on the numbers. But nope. He just kept getting bothered. And we couldn't get him out of it. Kevin O'Connell was a little frustrated. A whole lot frustrated after the game, and couldn't understand it. Took it sort of personally. Now, at the end of the game, when he and Dan Campbell met, and Dan Campbell forecast the future and said, we'll see you in 2 weeks, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it was a heck of a game, and I salute you. NFC North champs 2 years running.
I'm going to tell you something, Dave. I did not want our Lions to go play the Rams in Los Angeles that first round. Stafford has a vendetta. I mean, that's one thing I didn't want to see in LA first round after a loss. Like, no.
Well, we get to instead. So.
You don't have a vendetta against you guys, though.
No. And we'll get to that game here in a bit. But there was some other pleasure that happened last Sunday as well. The longest and most storied rivalry in NFL football took place. The Chicago Bears went up to Lambeau Field and messed up a 1-car parade. Pay, tell us about your game.
Well, it didn't have the type of gravitas or weight on this game like you two gentlemen's game had. Shout out to Aaron Glenn. But we talked throughout the week about what would probably be the best outcome for the Bears. Do you want to win? You want to, go into the offseason with a win, have some high spirits and all the rah stuff attached to that. And I was dead set, like, no, we need to keep our draft position. We need to better our draft position. A pity win against the Packers doesn't do anything for me. And I don't think you can get any good reps from our quarterback or anybody else for that matter in a game that the Packers probably wouldn't play their guys. You're not going to hear me say this often, Dave, but I was wrong. I was big time wrong. That win felt great. It felt so good. It was euphoric in a way that I can't even describe. We broke two different types of 11-game losing streaks, and having that weight off our shoulders right now, going into the offseason, such a beautiful feeling. And it couldn't happen against a better team. The Packers, they walk around with their chest poked out. But can you guys tell us? Does anybody know their Packers division record this season?
Same as yours.
Exactly. The same as the Bears. And the Bears should have swept them. They should have got swept out the division this year. That's how much faith I have in the Packers. Their short-lived playoff life. That's going to happen this season. So the Bears, like I said, they go into the offseason 5-12. This was it 5-13. This 5-13, right? That's the record.
Yeah. 5-12, 17 games.
I'm sorry, 5-12. Matt, I'm thinking 18 weeks instead of 17 games.
You don't have to give them more losses than they got already, man.
You're right. I shouldn't. They got the fair amount that they got. Yeah. They didn't get any more. That Patriots loss should count for more. But be that as it may. We will go into the offseason feeling ourselves, carrying our royal oats a little bit heavier than usual. And for those that wonder about the draft standing, we came into that game carrying the 9th draft pick. If we lost, we could have moved up to maybe the 7th. As it stands, we won, and now we have the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't lose much with that game. So we gained a W. Got to pump our middle fingers up at the Lambeau crowd, and we pretty much still have the same amount of prospects staring at us at the 10th spot. So it's a great weekend for me, Dave.
That's awesome.
I'm sure Caleb enjoyed it. Got the whole team fingernail polished and everything.
Caleb doesn't have a losing record against the Packers. He came out of his rookie season 1-1 against the Packers. We haven't been able to say that since 2018 for any quarterback. Caleb is on his way.
What did he end up with on the season?
3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a passer rating of 82, which I think that's highest for his class.
No,
I know maybe I'm thinking about his TD to interception ratio. In fact, I know I'm thinking about the TD to interception ratio. What else? And he didn't get sacked 70 times.
Oh, I did see, right, prepping for the show right before, you have an above average offensive line according to polls and the pass block and rushing rates.
See, Dave. See. I wanted to keep the spirits high. I didn't want to talk about Ryan Poles and his constant lies. I wanted to leave that. I wanted to leave that for the back burner. Ryan Poles, he said that last offseason too. We have a pretty good offensive line. 4 to 5 starters when we came into the season had durability issues and reliability issues. And what did we see all season? Durability issues and reliability issues. That's all we saw. And if Ryan Poles still think that's good enough to compete, Ryan Poles can turn in his resignation right now.
You would like that.
I would. I don't think he's the right guy to be picking another head coach anyway. So save us some trouble.
Well, since we covered all 4 teams in week 18, let's go into what you guys are up to right now. Ryan Poles is doing a head coach search. How is that going, and who have you invited to come that you all know of come talk to you?
The Bears are casting a wide net to have people come in and talk about their head coaching job. Today, they interviewed Mike Vrabel. Elsewhere in the week, we've interviewed other candidates. We got the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins coming in at some point. We're going to wait for the two coordinators in Detroit. As everybody else, Pete Carroll's name has popped up as a guy they want to talk to as well. There's a whole swath of people the Bears have talked to. I'm just happy they finally got to talk to Vrabel.
Okay, and I see that my defensive coordinator, Ryan Flores, is on that list as well.
Absolutely. He definitely should be on the list. He's a very deserved head coach. And if the Bears are going to circle the wagons and, do their due diligence, they got to talk to Brian Flores. However, if at any point at Hallis Hall they say Brian Flores is our guy, again, if Ryan Poles says that, fire him immediately.
Why is that?
Brian Flores has this thing, not Brian Flores, but Ryan Poles. In 3 years, Ryan Poles has had he presided over a 3-win team, a 7-win team, and a 5-win team, right? Just laying it out there. And along the way, he's made it a point to bring his boys with him, bring his guys, put the block on, as they say. Eberflus, that was his boy from Indianapolis. Yeah, they have a relationship. Velus Jones drafted him over a litany of other better NFL players. Velus Jones is not even in the league right at this point. Ryan Bates, he missed out on him in the draft, and he couldn't get over that, so he went and traded a draft pick to get him a backup center out of Buffalo. We do not have a center, Dave. We still don't. So, in my opinion, guys that Ryan Poles likes, has relationships with, can't have him in the building. He has to go ahead and do what he said he did. Do what he said in the press conference yesterday. I need to get back and just doing the work on merit, right? I don't care if you like him or not. If you like him, that's, in fact, to me, that's a red flag. I want to see merit-based appointments from now on. No more of that Chicago politics stuff. I don't care whatever you do, anything in those back rooms. I need to see merit-based appointments. No nepotism, no bro helping bro, none of that. If you say Brian Flores, I'm sorry, you got to go.
Well, what's the relationship between Poles and Flores?
There, I forget what team it was that they came from together. I want to say it was not Pittsburgh, but I forget what team. But I know Brian Flores and Ryan Poles, they're something like ex-teammates. So it just can't happen anymore, Dave. I've seen enough.
We got Go Pack Go all day in the house. Another podcaster saying that Vikings beat themselves on Sunday. Well, they got beat. We'll put it that way. So who are you hoping for in that poll selects? I heard you and Q and on your channel the other day talking about it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're all coming around to the same name right now, right? As I said, Dave, on that episode, the last episode that we've released, that with each passing day, I'm more and more open to the idea of Mike Vrabel being our number one guy. Mostly because he has experience being a head coach. He has experience rallying troops and getting more than the sum of getting a better return on investment than the sum of your parts. I think we have too many holes in the trenches to be able to fill that in one offseason, even though we got all the money in the world to do it. But we're talking about Ryan Poles here. We're going to need somebody who can, one, do what he's done in the past, and two, fix the culture. Make people a little bit more accountable. I'm not saying Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. Eric Glenn, he's I mean, I think that's the story of that game. I think everybody sees that he is a lightning rod of leadership, I guess. I'm not saying none of these guys, and Pete Carroll for that matter, Bill Belichick. I'm not saying none of these guys can't do the same thing. But Mike Vrabel, he's in his prime. As I said, he's done it. We've seen it. We see the results. We know why he's no longer the head coach in Tennessee. It has nothing to do with the results. That right there is the reason why I would prefer him in number one. Now, obviously, right now, what time is it? It's 5:30 Eastern. He's probably out the door already in Chicago, headed to New England to get that other interview in, and he's going to interview in Vegas as well with his boy Tom. He probably won't spend the block. He probably, after those two interviews, he's probably going to make a decision, and it'll probably be at one of those two places. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. The point is to talk to as many people as you can, and you shouldn't make the decision before you can talk to at least those two Detroit coordinators anyway.
Now, my question is, will Ryan Poles, if he hires a veteran, let's say like Vrabel, turn over some of the personnel decisions willingly?
Probably no. Probably not willingly, right? According to them in the press conference yesterday, it sounds as was well, at least what they told the media. Everything right in that type of space is going to be held close to the chest. What they tell candidates is going to be something totally different. It's exactly what they said. They said, we're not telling you, what Ryan Poles' job, I guess, how tenuous it is. We're not going to tell you that. We'll talk to candidates about it, like how much longer his contract is, how much power he has over roster construction, draft choices. We're not going to discuss that today, but we'll talk to candidates about it. I would hope that they're flexible, right? Because some of the notion is that we only hire coaches that we can boss around, that we can one, are cheap because they don't have a lot of standing, and two, the guys who won't fight back on trying to trade draft picks for Ryan Bates or trying to draft Velus Jones or trying to draft projects in the third round. Why do we draft a tackle out of Yale in the third round? Beats me. But stuff like that. You want somebody who's done it before. Again, Mike Vrabel, who's going to fight back and like, you know what? No. We're going to go get an actual football player with that third round pick, not somebody you want to, have dinner with. No, not that.
I think Pete Carroll would be a good choice as well, because he's been around the block quite a bit and would do well. And when it comes to that sort of, you want the leader, somebody that's been there, done that.
True.
So, hey, we'll find out. Keep us informed how it goes. I'm sure we'll all be watching. Now, June, Foster, you have two of the highest touted coach prospects in the league.
Mm-hmm.
With both your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Where are they supposedly interviewing with? Because you've gotten interviews requests this week because you guys are on the bye, taking your sweet weekend off. Where are Aaron Glenn and your offensive coordinator going this week?
I don't know about Aaron Glenn, but I do know that Ben Johnson has 4 interviews scheduled. On Friday, it's the Patriots, and I forgot who else. And I know on Saturday, it's the Bears and Jags. So he has 4 interviews set up.
And from what I can see, Glenn's got an interview with the Bears on Saturday and the Patriots at some point. That's what I can, my quick research here.
Gotcha. Scottish Bear says Poles gave A lot of rosters say to Flus, Brisker, Dexter, Pickens, Flus, and a big say in these had a big say in the guys coming in. Do you believe that, Pay?
I absolutely do not believe that. If Pose said it, I really don't believe it even more so because Pose has demonstrated that he's a liar. Flus, to his credit, I mean, I don't want to throw any dirt on the man's, proverbial grave now that he's no longer there, but Flus did nothing but lie every time he got in front of the media. So I don't know, but let's say it is true. Flus hired him. Pose hired Flus, and Flus drafted at least 3 of those guys in front of the number 1 tackle and a number 1 center in the draft. Not to say none of those guys are bad, because I think everyone except Pickens is an outstanding player. But again, at some point, you got to address the weakest part of your team, and that looks like a dereliction of duty.
We won't talk about Pickens, but he seems like just something. We'll let the Steelers deal with that. But, okay. June, what are you guys doing over the weekend? Anything?
You talking about individually or the team?
Yes.
Individually, I'm just going to sit back and watch the first round of the playoffs. As a team, we are getting a well-needed rest. I'm sure everyone else needs a rest, but I'm just saying, like, with possibility of certain people being able to come back within the next week or so, it definitely helps to have this bye week this late in the season. We're anticipating a couple of people that haven't played to be there next week when we do play our first playoff game of the season. So.
Okay. Foster, who do you expect to be healthy?
It looks like Terrion Arnold, who left. The injury actually looked not very good, but I see that he's in a boot and that he is day to day. So I think, and he just seems like a good spirit. He doesn't seem, when you have a serious injury, it's usually apparent in your demeanor and stuff like that. So it seems like he's in good spirits. So with that week off, I think he'll be back. And then David Montgomery is highly likely to be back for the divisional game. So very excited about that because we were pretty concerned that he was going to need surgery. He got that second opinion, and now he will likely be back.
Ricochet. They expect him Ricochet.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I didn't know. Okay, yeah.
When's Hutch due back?
Not this
Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, I think they said, Campbell has said so far that he doesn't expect Hutch, Barnes, who else? Oh, or Carlton Davis, amongst others, to be back anytime soon / Super Bowl. We're not speaking that far into the future quite yet, but he said it's not likely that we'll see any of those guys before the year's up.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, we do have 2 division teams in the playoffs. Let's start off with the first game, which is on Saturday. Now, we'll review. We have Los Angeles versus the Houston Texans, and then Pittsburgh versus Baltimore on Saturday in the first 2 games of the wild card weekend. Who do you all have favored on Los Angeles Chargers, I should say, at Houston?
Chargers. Big.
I'm going to go with Chargers.
Foster?
Yeah, I haven't. It's funny because I don't know. Chargers one of those teams that I don't see a lot, but I'm seeing a nice little buzz as far as just how people feel about the team as a whole. And I think Houston's they're a little discombobulated. They got a young quarterback, and their receiver just had that gruesome injury. So I don't think that they are ready to make that next step yet.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, second game. This one's Pay's more the expert on this because he talks with the Steelers boys every day. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. This should be an absolute gangbuster rival game, or will it?
I know who he's going to pick.
Oh yeah, you definitely do know who I'm going to pick. I got Baltimore. Baltimore's a 10-point fave, and we ride with the Purple Gang. So the only question mark is in this week 18. That's true. Only question mark is Zay Flowers plays. I don't think that should have much weight on the line or anything like that. I think Baltimore can still do a lot of things they like to do in their offense. Sans Zay, but Zay is a very integral part to their moving forward. If they want to have any, if they have any aspirations or continue to look like their usual self further down the playoffs. But for Pittsburgh, I think they got that mental monkey off their back. I think they can handle Pittsburgh fairly easy. I don't think there's going to be much of a show. Baltimore, I got them by 2 scores.
Is Russell going to cook, or is he cooked?
Russell is, the real Russell showed up. That little Cinderella run he had, that's been over. That carriage is back to a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm. Then on Saturday we opened up the slate with Denver at Buffalo. Bo Nix and Josh Allen.
Praying for Bo. Much rather see him.
I suspect Buffalo's gonna.
I'm picking Buffalo.
Yeah, I think Buffalo's. Even the only thing about Buffalo is the majority of that defense. In fact, majority of both sides of the ball, they haven't been here before. They're a young team, minus Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen's still young, but he has a lot of playoff experience. But so in some respects, this is a young, unproven team versus another young, unproven team with Denver against Buffalo. So I think it comes down to what kind of games they can play with the rookie Bo Nix. Bo Nix, in my opinion, because I've had these discussions a lot, and who's actually the best rookie quarterback. Bo Nix, he gets away with a lot of dink and dunking. So they might test him, might bring a lot of people up to the line, which Buffalo likes to do. It's like, you got to beat us with your arm. And we have to find out what Mr. Bo is made of.
Oh, he's done it this season, much to the chagrin and surprise feelings of others in this league that thought all he was dink and dunk. That was his, MO coming out of college. So it's going to be interesting. And the weather, they're both outdoor teams, so I don't suspect that's going to be any big deal. Then we come up with our division mate. The Green Bay Packers go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. We all want the Eagles to stomp the Packers, but will they? June?
Let me tell you something here, Dave.
Oh, okay, Peg. Go ahead.
Let me tell you something here, Dave. The chances of Green Bay with coming out of that game, missing Christian Watson and Jordan Love hurt again for like the third, fourth time, the chances of them going into Philadelphia and winning looks a lot like those rows we talked about in Kansas City. Hell froze over. I don't see it happening. Jordan Love, I don't have high praise for him as far as a big game quarterback. In fact, we talked all offseason, after he got that contract, after only 8 games, 8 good games, he got a massive $75 million guaranteed, $75 million signing bonus contract. You extrapolate that over a whole season. How did he look? Did he look like a top quarterback to you? Absolutely not. This is where top quarterbacks play. The playoffs, get them out of here. The real green team going to win.
Go ahead.
I mean, he did good in that Cowboys game, though. I mean, we're not going to act like he's just never done anything in the playoffs.
Well, you got to do it again in this league.
Plus, he's got broken wing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe. My bad.
I have to go with Philly. I have to go with Philly, and this has nothing to do with disdain of the Green Bay Packers. It's just Philly has shown in the big games with their full lineup that they're just a better team than Green Bay.
It's going to be interesting.
I hate to admit it. I would pull. I would much rather see Green Bay than see Philly. So if I'm being full disclosure, I would not be upset if they beat Philly.
Are we cheering for the
doing
Packers?
it from
calm down,
Lions play?
I'm just saying.
Hold on, man. From a co-host point of view, man, you are pushing it, pal.
Selfishly, we can't act like we are just dying to play Philly in the NFC title game. I mean, that's just, if we're being logical, I understand that emotionally we don't rock with them. But
hey, man, Philly can lose to somebody else, bro.
Only one other team can beat them now.
Well, I'll take my chances with that. I'm not cheering for the Pack.
Now, speaking of cheering for the Pack, for Vikings to host a game, if they win this weekend, we need the two lower seeds to win, or at least one of them, and that includes Green Bay.
Okay.
Does that mean I put on a cheese head and root for them?
Not physically, but metaphorically, you might.
Hey, there's a few teams I can't stand in this league. Number one on that list is Green Bay.
I feel that.
Number two from a long time ago was Dallas Cowboys, right? Drew Pearson push-off. Enough said. All right. And if you're too young to know what that is, go look it up on the internet. It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to Google that.
Drew Pearson push-off. Go ahead. And then comes the Saints and the Eagles. I can't stand either of those two teams and their fan bases especially. And the Eagles is notoriously been a heartburn in the Minnesota Vikings side, especially recently. And in 2017, the last time we had a decent season. And it's hard for me to deal with, you know. It's the one that you hope the meteor hits the stadium type deal. It is. I can't. Now, who do I think is going to win? It's probably going to be Philadelphia because Jordan Love's injured. I think the Packers are frauds. But there you got Lamar Jackson, who's still trying to recover from that's Baltimore.
Jalen Hurts.
You got Jalen Hurts that's still trying to recover from the concussion. So
Dave said he'd rather win. They'll just win on the road. Damn that.
It just makes me ill thinking about it. Either one, that's just bad. So,
Philly did get Chris Carter from Philly though. So I mean, you know, it's not all bad.
And all he did was catch touchdown passes.
And all he did was catch touchdowns. Yeah. But it's just, it is something. That one's going to be an interesting one to watch. That's the afternoon game. The evening game is the Washington Commanders at Tampa Bay.
I forgot about them.
Who do you think's going to pull that one off, June?
The young
rookie?
I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay at home. And it's not who I'd rather face, or just who I think is going to win. Foster.
Hey, I'm trying to get there, but if you ask,
just a thought, not a wish. It's a thought. You can separate them.
If the Eagles win, this is the team.
In the heart of hearts, you want all the underdogs to win. You want
that's not true.
I mean, from if you're the number one, if you're getting a bye week, you want the lesser teams to win and makes your path easier. I get it, but the reality of it is, that's not what happens usually. And I think that Tampa Bay just wins at home. I think Washington. I don't know, man. I think just Tampa Bay is different at home.
Pay, do you think Baker Mayfield's hot and cold? Some days he looks like a Pro Bowler extraordinaire, and others he looks like garbage.
Oh yeah, that's the Baker experience, and I think for you guys that's still in the playoffs, I think it's fantastic for you that the two most dangerous teams are playing each other first round. At least get one of them out the way. Baker can beat anybody, and you've seen that firsthand, Detroit. Baker is not to be trifled with. Baker, he's shown up in the playoffs before. He's done things in the playoffs. He's won games and more than once. You definitely cannot excuse Baker at all, and especially, and in fact, he's beaten teams he has no business beating in the playoffs. Shout out to Pittsburgh. On the flip side of that, the Commanders, they're too young to know what they're not supposed to do, right? And that's a dangerous squad, is dangerous proposition as well. Come this time of year, Jaden Daniels, another guy who's he's electric. I think, but I don't want to say that. I don't want to besmirch him, but he's electric. And if anything, if you don't bottle him up early, he can become one of those problems make the game a lot longer than it necessarily needs to be. This is a real good toss-up, Dave. I'm also going to ride with Tampa Bay only because of the Baker factor. Because as Baker, he shows up at big games, and that guy, I do not doubt Baker at any point anymore.
Plus, it's in Tampa. However, it should be cold there. I know today it got down to like 42 in that area of the country, which is by far, it's like 50 below in North Dakota. They're not used to it. They're all bundled up in their Michelin suits and flip-flops going outside. So it should be interesting. It's going to be interesting. That leaves one more game, the Monday Nighter, where my Minnesota Vikings travel out to Los Angeles to meet the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium, which now is a maybe. Why?
Fires.
Because the Palisade fires. Wow. The NFL announced today they are monitoring the situation. Now, SoFi Stadium is 15 miles south of the Palisade fires. It doesn't look like it's in real danger. This, 15 miles where the city is going to have to burn for that to be in physical danger. But what the NFL is worried about is the personnel that have to work the game, man the stadium, etc. And that is if the AWOL mayor doesn't use the stadium as an emergency shelter type of deal. So it's going to be interesting. If not, the names I've heard of is we might move to a neutral location of either Phoenix at the Cardinal Stadium or Las Vegas at the Raiders Stadium. And people are asking, well, Dave, they got tons of college stadiums around there. And my answer to that is I think the NFL wants to go to an NFL-ready stadium. Just like when 2010, when our roof collapsed, we went to Detroit to play a game. And we turned that stadium purple. Even painted it all. That was wonderful. But
terrible.
But I think it's going to be interesting. Do the Minnesota Vikings bounce back after that horrible game and loss last Sunday? Or do they go down to the only other team that beat them this year, the Los Angeles Rams? Pay, what do you think?
One more thing you got to worry about over there in LA is the air quality. So that's one more thing. So
and that stadium is not, even though it's got a roof, it's not enclosed.
No,
the roof floats. It's on its own separate. Own separate frame.
So one about the game, if they do move to Arizona, which is a fantastic venue, Westgate, where the Cardinals play, is one of the better hosting sites for a lot of big events, similar to what they do in the South with the Benz and the Superdome. But in any case, in the game versus the Rams versus the Vikings, I do think the Vikings hold a slight edge over the Rams. The Rams, they've gotten better in two areas as the season has proceeded along. Protecting the Matt Stafford against quick pressure. They're getting the ball out a lot faster, and getting to the quarterback. They weren't very good early in the season as far as in their front seven, but Jared Verse and the rest of those guys, they have come on like gangbusters. As you saw against the Detroit Lions, Aaron Glenn, like I said, I think that's a story coming out of that game. Aaron Glenn's rising up the head coach totem pole. He had Sam Darnold out there seeing ghosts. Jared Verse.
We don't like that term in Minnesota.
I bet they don't like it in the Meadowlands either. If Jared Verse and I forget the defensive coordinator name out there in LA, but if they can get Sam Darnold on his back foot and confuse him a little bit more, as you just saw with this last game, if that tape that Aaron Glenn put out there, if it tends to travel well, Darnold may be back in camp with you next year. With that said, I think if all things are equal, I think the Vikings should win that game. But I think this is another one of those that, there's some things that get to be decided on the field. I don't think this is a strictly paper game, if you know what I mean.
No, and the things that hurt the Vikings the most, whether it be pressure up the middle or how they play, there's two teams that have used it against us this season, and then we lost to both of them, one of them twice, and the other's L.A., and that defensive front scares me. Now, overall, do we have the better team? I believe so. Yeah. Should we go in there? And Sam Darnold, generally, when he has a real bad game, has a bounce-back humdinger the next week. And if he comes back and we're firing on all cylinders and scoring, we can outscore him. I do believe that's the case. But it's going to be a very, very interesting game. June, do you think the Vikings have a chance or should win against the Rams?
I think the Vikings
14-3 ever wildcard team.
Of course, they have a chance, and they should be favored. I would believe, but at the same time, the Rams rested their offensive players. They rested Stafford, Cool, and Cooper Kupp. I expect a shootout. I expect a high-scoring affair, and I think the team that gets the don't shake your head, man. I didn't do that with your commentary pay. You're 5-12. You just be quiet. Mute up for a second there.
He did.
Let's not shake our head during my commentary, pal.
Mute your face.
I expect a high-scoring game, and I do expect the Vikings to have more stops than the Rams. So yeah, but I do expect a lot of scoring.
You tell me you expect it to be one of the most entertaining games of the weekend?
That I think I think we're going to see a lot of throws. And when you got Stafford and you got Darnold with a lot of pass attempts, usually that marks for a lot of points being scored.
Foster, was Dan Campbell prescient when he said we're going to see you guys in 2 weeks?
I mean, I don't particularly like that he's, don't encourage him too much now, but I think he was just being humble.
We can't be scared, bro.
No, I'm just saying they don't need any pats on the back and encouragement and it's going to be okay. But at any rate,
we're not in the locker room. We can have football talk here without encouraging the team. They're not going to hear this.
Hey, you showing a lot of anyway. So, I think in the way that we needed that kick in the butt from Buffalo to get back on the right track to get set for Minnesota. I think that Minnesota needed the same, and I think that that's going to be important for them. Like you said, Dave, overall, you guys are the better team. In the playoffs, ultimately it does come down to quarterback play, which I edge to Stafford. But with that said, I think that if they can continue to if they put pressure on Stafford, I think that he has shown that he can make mistakes. And I can't say enough about Andrew Van Ginkel. I really wish he was on our team. That pass rush is spooky. I'm sorry, that
it's good
because we didn't play a great game. I mean, despite the fact that Goff, I think, only had 6 incompletions, 2 of those were interceptions, and they could have hurt us.
And Van Ginkel should have had a pick 6.
And that pick 6, yeah. So yeah.
Missed opportunities.
You make me cry in my whiskey again.
Execution, though, I said, execution where we were able to convert on 4th down and make the plays necessary. They left some food on their plate, and ultimately I think that
the third match will be tough.
The apparent So I know on the box score or on the playoff picture that's the next one. It doesn't switch around at all.
Only if the 2 lower seeds win.
So if the Commanders and
the 2 visitors, the Commanders and the Packers, then we need to win out of those guys for us to host.
Fair enough.
But that would be.
I don't want to see you guys again. I ain't gonna lie. I don't care how it went before. It'll be back at home, which would be nice.
See nobody, bro.
To be honest, I really
he wants to buy all the way to the Super Bowl.
That'd be beautiful. That would be great.
Enough, Foster. Enough of this duck. Enough of the duck and smoke. Yeah. Go out here.
We didn't duck any smoke all year. You don't want
to play the Bucks. You don't want to play the Rams. You don't want to play.
I didn't really say too much about the Bucks. The Bucks, they beat us at home, but
when I spoke of them beating the Commanders, you gave a look like, what are you doing?
I might have been zoning off because I don't know. That's a pretty evenly matched. I think that's an evenly matched game. I think you can flip a coin on that game. To be honest, you just edge it to Tampa Bay off of the home field advantage and the rookie quarterback aspect of things. But it's tough to beat a divisional opponent for a 3rd time in the year. That is
in my office, Foster. After this show, in my office,
principal's office for me.
Speaking of which, that's going to wrap it up for today. Any last words there, Pay?
Hope you all have a fantastic week and all of the best outcome for the playoffs happens for you, both of you guys. I know on my network, we have a not we, but I'm the black sheep. They say, "Oh, we're not riding for none of our division rivals." I mean, we can all lose. Me, because I do this show with you guys, I want to see you all meet again for the third time. Meet again. Let's figure this thing out once and for all. Even though it's been figured out quite a few times already. But
the last one would figure it out for good. It doesn't matter what the other two would do. So,
but I understand. Pay, speaking of your network, what is it?
That is the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. You can find that on YouTube. It's same name, anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Pandora, and all the rest. Football season is winding down, but we still have basketball, baseball, and hockey content coming your way. So check it out. It's a good time all around.
Frustrated Chicago Sports Network.
Frustrated Chicago Sports fans on YouTube.
On YouTube. Well, I guess there's truth in advertising then.
Very much so.
Any last words there, Foster?
Our feet are kicked up. Time to get healthy.
Says the one on the bye. June?
Yes, I like to make a disclaimer before I tell everybody to subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube. I pray that the Bears find who they are looking for to lead their team. However, I hope that the Bears office, wherever they're doing these interviews, reeks of bear, funk, crap, whatever, to steer Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn away. I want them to smell the funk in the air and say, no, I cannot coach in this environment, and turn down any kind of offer that they could possibly get. That's all. Subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube.
And I will triple that with Brian Flores. I hope he turns them down as well. He said he wants to go to a team that has their stuff together and is a quality organization. I think that automatically eliminates the Bears.
Yeah.
I do hope they get a good coach. This is not ours.
What do they say in Chicago? There, Pay.
What we say in Chicago, we say Derrick Rose Day. Also bear down.
Salute to Derrick Rose.
One of one.
Yes.
June, what do they say in Detroit? The Motor City.
It's kind of vicious.
Yeah. And of course, here on Vikings First and Skull Vikings. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a Bear Claw podcast. Bleachers to Speakers. Vikings First and Skull. And of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.